what this is really focused on is going back. We talked about the variety of systems that you really need in your business. This is talking about what are you really going to put into place in your own business. And so there are customer-focused systems, and these are systems that include things like finding and reach potential clients or prospects, converting those prospects into customers, and analyzing how your products, the products that you're actually using or delivering, how much time are you spending on those, and really determining, are you spending your time most efficiently. So in terms of finding and reaching prospects, there's some questions you may want to ask yourself, like, are these the kind of clients that I want to continue attracting? So if you already have clients, do you have your ideal clients, and do you want to keep attracting them? Or are there some other clients that you might want to consider attracting? Are these clients able to pay higher fees that you may want to charge? A lot of times it's easy to track. I know when I was in the sales organization, we used to call it the low-hanging fruit. Really easy to pick the low-hanging fruit, but what about that ideal client that may be at a higher level? Or if you're in real estate, maybe this person, instead of the $300,000 properties, you want to look at the $1 million properties. Is that something that you want to do? Do you understand who your ideal clients are, and where are they? How do you go about getting them? Where do they actually congregate? How do your competitors market to your audience right now? The audience that you want to attract, there's somebody out there already marketing to them. Somebody already has their mind share. What are they doing to attract these clients? And you can figure things out like looking at the promotional materials that your competitors are sending out, trying to figure out what do their websites look like? Are they marketing to them in social media? And how are they going about attracting them? So you pay attention to what's going on around you to do that. And then could you go after a more affluent client? Do you want to? Is that where you want to be? Are you satisfied with the clients that you have right now, or is there some other level or something else that you want to do there? Then we talk about converting prospects to customers. So what percentage of the people that you currently have who call you and who are interested in your service, how many of those people end up converting? Or another way to look at it is how many people, if you send out a mailer or email blast or something like that, how many people, if you send it out to 1,000 people, how many people actually responded to it in some way, shape, or form? And so we look at conversion rates and things like that. The other thing we want to talk about is how can we decrease access to you? We want to be able to interact with our clients on a regular basis, but you don't want to spend all your time tied to a phone or having to be in a face-to-face meeting. So when I talk about decreasing access to you, I'm talking about automation. In what ways can we do things? They're still getting information from you. You're still providing valuable content. You're still providing a service from them, but you couldn't possibly touch somebody physically by phone or face-to-face 33 times and do that across the board for hundreds and hundreds of customers. And so you put other systems in place that will enable you to do that so that when you do show up, the value that you bring in a face-to-face or on a telephone or that sort of thing, you've already built a relationship with them because you've been providing valuable information for them all along. Get into your particular industry, whatever that industry is, and finding out where your target market is, going to the same meetings that they go to, attending the same conferences that they go to. All of that works towards people knowing you, liking you, and trusting you. If they see you showing up at the meeting, particularly if you're doing things like showing up at the meeting as a speaker or sitting on a panel, or if they constantly see you in the meeting and they do the networking and you get to share. I know I've been to these meetings where you stand up and you share something about your business. Sometimes it's clever and they say, share your business in 6 words or less and that sort of thing. And if you can succinctly be able to tell what it is that you do, there's going to be somebody in that audience who's going to resonate with that, and they may come over to you and want to do business with you, or at least start to build the beginning of a relationship. So I think that's very important, that no matter what industry that you're in, that you do go ahead and position yourself so that the people who are your ideal clients will start to know you and be able to refer you or use your services. You want them to be able to know who you are, what you do, who you serve, and more importantly, what benefits you're going to be able to provide for them. So you'll be able to succinctly get that out there in a few sentences so that you don't see their eyes start to glaze over. That's very, very important. One of the things that you want to do in terms of converting your prospects into customers is really understand who these clients are that you want to serve and block out maybe 3 to 5 hours. I don't know if you have that kind of time on your calendar, but if you could block out 3 to 5 hours every week to focus on what are you going to do to get more of those clients, understanding who that client is, and then really saying, okay, I have 3 to 5 hours per week that I'm going to focus on that. Maybe some of that time I'm going to spend on planning, some of that time I'm going to spend on networking, some of that time I'm going to spend on talking to people who I know can send me referrals or whatever the case may be, but really focusing your energy to that specific task of converting your clients. So a lot of times we have a desire to do something and we have a passion for it. We know exactly what it is that we've been called to do. We see the need in the marketplace and all of that. But at the end of the day, we really have to do something. We have to take the action, move forward. We have to contact the right people. Even though it may be intimidating, we still have to figure out how to do maybe a little step. I taught a class, and we were talking about that sometimes take a little bite and say, I might be afraid to contact someone that's at a high level in an organization, but at least I can go find out some details about that organization and then figure out who else is in the organization. Maybe somebody with 6 degrees of separation type thing. Maybe I can find somebody who can make the introduction for me and that sort of thing. And so it's really important to sit down and block out 3 to 5 hours a week to focus specifically on your business. If you're still in the planning stages and you haven't really developed who the target market is and you really don't have the business plan down and you really don't know exactly where the business is, you just have this really good concept in your head, those 3 to 5 hours of weekly focus will be all about detailing that and really honing that so that you're really very, very clear about what it is that you're going to be offering. Some other questions that I want to talk about in terms of really how do you spend your time is what activities are you spending the majority of your time on? Which opportunities, if you look at the products that you're selling, if you're selling, let's say you're selling 3 different types of products or 3 different types of services, which one of those are most lucrative? And are the ones that are lucrative the same ones that you're applying your time to? And if not, what are you going to do to make that adjustment to make sure that you're doing more of what's profitable and less of what's not profitable? Can you delegate? Can you take some of those activities off your plate, give them to somebody else? And then how do you automate your services so that you can free up your time? Because this whole thing about systemizing is really about working on your business and not in your business. If you're working in your business, basically you are owning a job. If you have a business, like, when you work for someone else, you work on a job. When you are an entrepreneur, if you don't have systems, you are actually owning a job. But then if you put systems in place, then you start to have your business starts to work for you, and you can actually step away from it sometimes, and you can go off and do things without fear that nothing will happen when you're gone. Even as a salesperson within an organization, if you don't have systems in place, sometimes you find it's even difficult to take vacation, particularly if you're on quota and you have to make your numbers every week. You take a week's worth of vacation, you already know that you're not going to make your numbers that week. And so it's really important to have a systematic process for how do you manage your time so that you can have some time to step away and be with your family. Owning your own business is very alluring and exciting and wonderful in terms of that flexibility. You get to call the shots and everything like that. But unfortunately, what happens, particularly for solopreneurs, what ends up happening is if you're the only one in the business, you have to do everything. My mom used to always call it the head cook and bottle washer. You have to be able to do everything. And if you're doing all the systems in your business instead of having automated processes or people that you can delegate to, then what you find happens is now you own a job and you're just as overwhelmed and just as beat and tired as when you work for somebody else. And so this is why, as you're even building the foundation of your business right now, it is so important that you look at the systems that you want to put in place. I really implore you to go back and look at some of those systems that we talked about. We talked about communication systems, and we talked about how do you manage your email and all of that, and those kinds of things. Putting those things in place early in the process will really kind of define how you run your business. It can be very overwhelming if you're not careful. You can spend so much time working in the business that you look up and you don't have much of anything else. One of the problems with working in the business like that is that if you step away from it for whatever reason, whether it's vacation or you get ill or you decide that you want to sell your business, there's not much there because you are the business. If you don't do something, then you don't get paid. So really systemizing is all about finding ways to systemize your business in such a way that even when you're not working, you're still going to be able to get paid. So then the other kind of system, we talked about the customer-focused system. The other kind of systems are your business-focused systems. And as you're establishing yourself, and even if you're already established, these are some things that you want to really think about. How do you manage your financial aspect of your business? Who currently does the bookkeeping, or who's going to do the bookkeeping? And who has primary responsibility for the finances of your business? Do you think that your financial management system right now is efficient or effective? And what can you do to create an organized system that's going to be able to support your business? You also have to look at the business operations. Who's responsible for the operations of your business? What are the processes in your organization that are effective? Which ones need to be improved? What can you do to create an organized system to handle your business process? And then think about finding the right people. A lot of times when we are small businesses, particularly solopreneurs, we don't have any employees working for us, and sometimes we prefer it that way. Maybe we really don't want to hire employees. Maybe we just want to have contract workers or virtual assistants or somebody that we can offload some of the work to, but we don't actually want to go through that whole process of being a W-4 employer and having to go through that whole tax liability issue and things like that. How are you going to find the right people to support you? Where can you get that additional support from? And then in terms of strategic planning, what does your planning process look like right now? Are you sitting down on a regular basis and saying every Monday morning from 9 to 11, that's for planning, or every Sunday evening from 7 to 9, I'm going to take that time out to plan out my day, my week for the next week. What does my first quarter look like? What does my annual look like? What does my next 3 years look like? So are you planning? Are you doing some strategic plan, trying to figure out where you're headed with your purpose and your dream? What are your most important considerations in terms of your strategic plan for the coming year? What are you looking at for your long-term prospect? What kind of things do you need to include in your planning process? So what's important to you? What's going to be important to your business? And then, what does your proprietary system look like? So you know my proprietary system is the 7 steps that we're going through and that we have been working through in this program. And you can develop your proprietary system by just looking at the way you either currently deal with your clients from the time that they say yes, they want to work with you until you fulfill that process for them. What does that look like? What are your steps? It doesn't have to be 7. Maybe you have a 3-step process, but what does it look like working with you? What does that look like? You should be able to define that and articulate it. If you're not currently seeing clients or have a database of people that you're currently supporting, this is probably a nice place to start and say, well, when I get this client, what am I going to do with this client? What is that process going to look like? And so that you really have a foundation that you're building upon. And so